speaker for the day. The next speaker joined our club last December. He's also a member of the Dobson Branch Toastmasters. He's been a Toastmaster for a little over 14 months. And, of course, he has volunteered to be our VP of Public Relations for the next term. Today, he is giving his 10th speech from the Competent Communicator Manual. The title of his speech is, Just Put On Those Shoes. Please help me welcome Tudor Melville.
How many of you had PE in high school? I'd like to see a raise of hands. Today they don't have PE in high school that I'm aware of. But I used to have PE in high school. And my coach, in the morning at 115 degrees sometimes, would say, I want you to run 4 times around the track. And the way I would run around the track would be like this. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. I would start out running, and then I would duck behind the bleachers. And I'd wait for that 4th lap to come around, and I'd get right behind them. That's how I finished. And the coach never knew that I would run like that. But you know what? I could not run. And the reason I couldn't run is I would get that rib pain right here. How many of you have got that rib pain when you run? Well, just recently I found out that that is from lack of water, dehydration. That's what that pain is all about. In 1978, I got married in Ahwatukee. I bought a house in Ahwatukee. Ironic that I joined a club in 2013 called In Ahwatukee. I started running, and I wasn't running away from my wife, by the way. But I started jogging when I was 22 years old. And I would run about a mile. But the way I started out running is I would walk, and then I would run to the light pole. Then I would walk again, and then I would run, and I got my way up to a mile. And then I got myself up to 2 miles. And then somebody challenged me to do 3 miles. And I thought to myself, how in the heck am I going to run 3 miles? But I got out and I did it. And then somebody challenged me and said, you ought to try 5 miles. And I said to them, you've got to be crazy. I can't run 5 miles. Well, I got up to 5 miles. I'm going to share with you some of my milestones that I have achieved over the years. I've been running for 37 years. And I went through a transformation with Paul Brunaforte. Paul came to my office. He was my coach. And I got him at a very good price, by the way. But he challenged me to write down goals. And that's something that I didn't do prior to that, is writing down goals. Having a goal is one thing, but writing them down and being accountable, that's what goals are all about. So I'm going to show you some of my goals that I've achieved since 2009. This is the Nike Fuel Band. The Nike Fuel Band is a watch. It mounts on your wrist, and it keeps track. It keeps track of all your runs. It keeps track of your activity. And what it does is it keeps track of your calories, it keeps track of your time that you spend active, and it counts your fuel that you burn on a daily basis. My goal currently is 3,500 fuel band. What that means, it takes into consideration how much time you're active. If you're sitting at a desk, obviously you're not active. But it keeps track of your activity, keeps track of your calories. I have burned 210,000 calories so far this year. I've been active 1,887 hours. And I've done 1.6 million steps just with this Nike Fuel Band. I've clocked 778 miles this year. One of the other achievements that I've achieved is the 2 million mark. When you hit 2 million Nike Fuel Band, you get this character, and this character jumps up and down, and it gives you a bunch of applauses. Well, when I hit that, I was very encouraged because I hit it at midnight. And it was a neat feeling because this thing starts all over again at midnight. And when I hit the 2 million mile mark, I felt accomplishment. Just last Saturday, I went out running, and I was at 1,593 miles. That's how many miles I have been clocked with my iPhone. Now, my iPhone has what they call a Nike plus GPS. And what that does is it keeps track of how many miles you run. And it tells you in your ear, because you hook it up to headphones. And you put the headphones in your ear and you take off running. And it tells you when you hit 1 mile, it tells you when you hit 2 miles, it tells you when you hit 3 miles. And it clocks everything. I've run 316 times since 2010. I'm average speed of 10 minutes and 33 seconds. Some of that is a little bit of walking, but I'm not a fast runner. I'm a runner that likes to do cardio, and that's what I'm doing. I'm running about an hour, hour and 10 minutes when I do run. I'm at an average Nike fuel band of 3,500. This is what I looked like prior to my running. To give you an idea, this is a fat person. I was shocked when I saw this picture the other day, and Paul gave me the idea. He said, you ought to have a picture of yourself when you were fat. And I thought to myself, when was I fat? Well, I was fat prior to 2009. So that's what gave me the motivation. But one thing that I have is I have these magic shoes that help me run. And that's what this speech is all about, is putting on your magic shoes. And for me, what it takes every day I run is to put on these shoes. Because once I put on these shoes, I am determined to run. There hasn't been a time when I put on my shoes in the morning or in the evening that I didn't run. This is my trigger point, is having these shoes. Now, at age 50, I'm 57 right now. At age 50, I had this thought of running a half marathon. Has anybody run a half marathon? We've got some people in here that run half marathons. So at age 50, and remember, here's a guy here that never ran a mile in high school. And now I'm running half marathons. And I'm encouraged because every year I sign up for the P.F. Chang's half marathon. And I'm going to share some of those awards with you that I have earned running half marathons. And just this past January, I was running with a girl that I motivated her. She's 26 years old. She's been seeing my Facebook posts last year, and I motivated her to start running. And she started running marathons, half marathons. Well, last January, I'm running the marathon, a half marathon at the P.F. Chang's, and I run up to her. Now, to understand that a 57-year-old just caught up with a 26-year-old, I thought to myself, wow, what an accomplishment that was. And we stayed for the last mile together. And I felt so good that I was able to keep up with a 26-year-old. It gave me a lot of accomplishment. One of the items that I wore that day was my P.F. Chang shirt. This is the number that they give you when you run in a half marathon or a full marathon. And that right there told a big story for me, because at 57 years old, to have one of these on and to run a half marathon with 26-year-olds and 20-year-olds gave me a major accomplishment in my mind. But what I would like to do is I would like to challenge every one of you. Has anybody joined a club in the last year? A health club? Oh. How many of you are going 3 times a week? Okay, we've got a few people going 3 times a week. That is powerful. What I do at the gym is I play racquetball. So I play racquetball on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with a group of guys that are much better than I am. But the reason I love that part is because they give me a heck of a workout. So I'm going to encourage every one of you, if you're not exercising, to exercise. Because exercise, for me, is a way to reverse aging. 57 years old, and I can do push-ups now. I'm going to share with you a little story about Paul Brunaforte. Came to my office one day, and he said to me, how many push-ups can you do? And I said, Paul, I can't do but maybe 10. He said, well, why don't you do more? I said, I don't have the time. So he gets down on the floor, and he says, I want you to time me. In 25 seconds, he knocked out 30 push-ups. So I'm going to show you how I do my push-ups now. This is how I do them now.
Yeehaw. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Okay, is anyone else feeling their age right now? Yes.
You can take down that fat picture for me. Just move it to the side.
1 minute for evacuation, please.
Quiet, we can hear you breathing.